All right. Welcome, everyone. Before we begin, I have a few announcements. Today, we are accommodating 2 different community locations. We have folks over at the Lost Labor Community Action Center, and we have individuals calling in from South Bay Counseling Center, Community Counseling Center. So with that said, and in the interest of language justice, I have another few announcements. The first being that if you require closed captioning, please go down to the bottom of your screen and click the closed caption icon. Javier, do you want to give it a go?
Yes, Ariana, thank you very much. Hello, this is Javier Morrone, the Spanish interpreter for tonight, one of them. I am going to make an announcement in Spanish for those that need to hear the hearing in Spanish. And for those that need closed captioning in Spanish. Buenas noches a todos, soy Javier el intérprete. Tienen en esta reunión la disponibilidad de poder usar subtítulos y poder ver los subtítulos y leerlos en español para aquellos que tienen problemas auditivos. Y también tienen la posibilidad, cuando se active la función, van a ver un globo al calce de la pantalla donde pueden presionar y elegir el idioma. Todos deben elegir un idioma, ya sea español o inglés. En este caso, elijan español. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Ariana.
Thank you. And so for everyone on this call today, we are asking folks to choose a language to listen to because there will be live translation. We will most likely have folks calling in and speaking in Spanish. So we want to make sure that those who don't understand Spanish can also hear the English translation. So this is a reminder for everyone. And the vice versa is true, as Javier just said in Spanish. So to do so, Rob, if you want to go ahead and start the translation, and it should pop up, the globe button should pop up at the bottom of the screen for everyone. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Chair Ali.
Thank you, Ariana, and welcome to this public hearing of the Los Angeles City Council Redistricting Commission. My name is Fred Alley, and I'm honored to serve as the chair of the commission. Tonight is the 15th of 17 community of interest public hearings that the commission is conducting through September. We are holding hearings in each city council district as well as 2 regional hearings to ensure that residents of Los Angeles can have their voices heard in during this important process. Tonight, we focus on Council District 9. We look forward to hearing testimony from residents of Council District 9, as well as residents of other districts who might be attending tonight's hearing. As Commissioner Martinez will explain in a minute, we want to hear about your community and your special needs and your recommendations for fair and inclusive political representation. I want to thank neighborhood councils who supported our outreach efforts for tonight's meeting. I want to specifically thank a number of community-based organizations who assisted us with outreach activities, including SCOPE, Community Health Councils, SBCC, the Watts Labor Community Action Committee, and CD Tech. So I want to thank all of those organizations for their work. I also want to recognize and thank the efforts of the Council District 9 office and Council Member Kern Price. Today is September 2nd, and it is 6:07 p.m. And with that, can we please take the roll?
Yes, Chair. Chair Ali.
Present.
Vice Chair Hyun. Vice Chair Diaz.
Present.
Commissioner Anderson.
Present.
Commissioner Barrett.
Present.
Commissioner Braymond.
Present.
Commissioner Brennan.
Present.
Commissioner Kanya.
Present.
Commissioner Delgadillo. Commissioner Garston. Commissioner Katz.
Present.
Commissioner Lay.
Present.
Commissioner Martinez.
Present.
Commissioner Moreno.
Present.
Commissioner Polanco.
Present.
Commissioner Pritchard.
Present.
Commissioner Shaw. And Commissioner Suh.
Present.
And with that, Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you, and I want to once again thank the commissioners for their excellent attendance at these public hearings. We have had quorums at each of our hearings, and tonight is no exception. So thank you for that. Now I'm going to ask commission members to disclose ex parte communications that may have occurred since our last meeting. For members of the public, ex parte communication means any communication between any member of the Los Angeles City Council Redistricting Commission and any elected city officer or member of any elected city officer staff regarding a matter that might be before this commission. By city ordinance, commission members are required to disclose these communications to ensure a fair and transparent process. Our commission members take these disclosures very seriously. At the conclusion of tonight's meeting, I will once again ask commissioners to disclose any ex parte communication that may have occurred during the meeting. So with that, I'm going to begin with an ex parte communication disclosure, and then I'm going to ask other commissioners as well. So to begin, at 9:35 a.m. this morning, Thursday, I had a phone call with Council Member Monica Rodriguez. The purpose of that phone call was to discuss a vacancy that has occurred with her appointed member. And I wanted to check with the council member to see if she was planning to appoint a new member. I did not ask her for names of individuals she might consider, nor did she offer such names. She did simply indicate that it was her intention to appoint a new member as soon as possible. So that ends my disclosure. Commissioner Berman.
Yes, on Tuesday of this week, I met with Council Member Marquise Harris Dawson, Curran Price, and Council Member Mark Ridley Thomas to give them an update on outreach and where we are in the process of redistricting.
Mr. Berman, approximately what time was that meeting?
5:40 p.m.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Anderson.
On Tuesday at 5:40 with Commissioner Berman, I met with Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas, Marquise Harris Dawson, and Karen Price to give them an update on the outreach in the Black community in our neighborhoods around South LA.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Suh.
Hi, I was just looking for the date on Monday, August 30th at 12:14 p.m. I forwarded to Ms. Najiba Saeed, a staff member in Councilmember Rahman's office, the same email that I sent all the commissioners about the Sherman Oaks Forum that's taking place this Saturday.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Shaw.
I'm sorry, I had technical difficulties, but on Tuesday, August the 31st, around 5:40, I met with council members Ridley Thomas, Harris Dawson, and Price regarding the redistricting timeline and community outreach efforts. On Wednesday, September the 1st, around 2:20, I sent an email to CD staff persons, Rachel Broussard and also Solomon Rivera, regarding the new meeting schedule. And on the same day, I spoke to each of them regarding community outreach efforts.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any other I'm sorry, Commissioner Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So on Monday, August the 30th, approximately at 6 p.m., I met with Councilmember Curran Price, Chief of Staff Curtis Ernest, and Director of Engagement Jose Ugarte to go ahead and discuss and update them on the process regarding the timeline that we have in front of us, and specifically in regards to today's meeting for this upcoming meeting and working on the engagement to help turn out community to provide testimony regarding this hearing today.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Are there any other disclosures?
If I may interrupt, Commissioner Shaw, your September 3rd conversation, did you have an approximate time for that?
Commissioner Shaw?
Pardon me, it was September the 1st. The conversations with the staff.
I think you said you had another one on September the 3rd, a follow-up phone call with a couple of the staff.
I said August the 31st and
I'm sorry.
September the 1st. Let me read it again. On September the 1st, around 2:30, I sent an email to the two staff people. And as a result of that email, I had a conversation with both of them that day.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Yoon?
Yeah, I don't have any ex parte communication, but I just want to say that I'm here.
Welcome, Commissioner. Good to see you. Any other disclosures? Okay, thank you very much. And with that, can we have the first and for tonight, only agenda item read into the record, please?
Yes. Item number 1, discussion of public hearing format, rules of conduct, and summary of redistricting and communities of interest. Public hearing to gather testimony on communities of interest. Closing remarks.
Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Rafael Gonzalez, who is our Director of Outreach, and he is going to do a welcome.
Gracias, Presidente Ali. Y buenas noches a todos a esta audiencia pública de la Comisión de Reestructuración Distrital de la Ciudad de Los Ángeles. Mi nombre es Rafael González, director de Alcance Comunitaria y de esta comisión, y es un gran placer estar con todos ustedes esta noche. El propósito de nuestra audiencia este día es para escuchar de ustedes y cómo describen a su comunidad y para saber qué es lo que hace su comunidad poder tener poder para determinar una representación justa y inclusiva en su distrito del Concilio de Los Ángeles. Queremos saber qué es lo que hace su comunidad única, qué comparten ustedes y sus vecinos en común y cuáles son las necesidades especiales en su comunidad. Esto es importante en la reestructuración y en la creación de nuevas líneas distritales y mapas para la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Una vez más, nos da mucha felicidad con su participación esta noche. La voz y el poder del pueblo es clave en este proceso. Muchas gracias. It is now my pleasure to introduce Commissioner Miguel Martinez, who will provide us with opening remarks. Commissioner Martinez.
Thank you, Rafael. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening to the 15th public hearing of the Los Angeles City Council Redistricting Commission. My name is Miguel Martinez, and I have the honor of serving as the commissioner representing CD9 on this commission. The purpose of today's hearing is to hear from you and how you describe your community, whether it be the historic communities of Vermont Square, South Park, Central Alameda, Green Meadows, or the city of Los Angeles at large. We want to hear from you and what makes your community unique, what you and your neighbors share in common, and what are the special needs of your community. This is vital in the redistricting process and in the creation of new district boundaries and maps for the city of LA. People who have common interests and needs often benefit from being grouped together in a single district. We truly value your time and participation in the redistricting process. A little bit about who we are. The Los Angeles City Council Redistricting Commission is an appointed 21-member body charged by the city charter with the responsibility of designing new recommended boundaries of the city's 15 council districts. The commission adopted a core purpose is to independently draw proposed city council district boundaries based on census data and applicable laws that will allocate constituents proportionately while also accounting for the unique histories, experiences, and interests of communities, such that those interests will have the highest probability of being served by elected representatives in the city of Los Angeles. The commission has adopted the following vision and core values to inform and drive its fulfillment of its legal responsibilities and its core purpose. Our vision: to strengthen the governance of the city of LA by empowering its communities to have their diverse needs served through fair and inclusive representation. Our core values: equity, integrity, transparency, respect, compassion, dignity, data-driven, solution-oriented, and interdependence. A few things to keep in mind as we proceed. This hearing is being broadcasted live on video and it is being recorded. Translation services have been made available for those who requested the services. We have Spanish translation happening simultaneously during this hearing. In addition, closed captioning is also being provided during this hearing in both English and Spanish. For English closed captioning, please locate the globe icon at the bottom of the screen and select English. The Spanish closed captioning service is available in real time by going to the address bit.ly/LACCRC-Spanish-CC. If you are experiencing technical difficulties during this virtual hearing, you can call 213-263-5765 or contact us via email at redistricting.lacity@lacity.org. Commission staff will be on standby to help provide assistance. If you have a statement that you would like to submit in writing to the commission, you can do so by sending it via email at redistricting.lacity@lacity.org. We hope to accommodate as many people wishing to have their voices heard today. And to accomplish this as efficiently and effectively as possible, we have a suggestion. If you hear someone make a point that you want to make, rather than repeating that testimony, note your agreement and then allow someone else the opportunity to speak. We want to hear from as many persons as possible. In closing, I want to thank Councilmember Kern Price and the new 9th City staff for their invaluable community outreach and engagement support in promoting this public hearing throughout CD9. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Executive Director of the LA City Council Redistricting Commission in his second tour of duty, the Honorable Frank Cardenas, who will provide us with a brief summary of redistricting.
Commissioner Martinez, you're very kind. I appreciate that. And may I say, Brother Miguel, what a pleasure and honor it is to support your leadership and the rest of the commissioners on this commission. So what is this thing called redistricting? People gather every 10 years, all of a sudden some people become experts in it, and then it all goes away. But what exactly is it? Here's a reminder. Everyone in the city of LA, as we know, lives in their particular city council district. And every district is defined by certain streets and neighborhoods. We all have the opportunity to elect a city council member based on the district that we live in. For example, West Adams, South Park, Manchester Square, and Watts. People in these communities vote for different council members, and residents in these different communities express themselves through their political voice. Now, every 10 years, as I mentioned, the entire country goes through this process called redistricting to redraw the maps that determine each political subdivision. Now, as communities get smaller and bigger, people move in and out, and neighborhoods can change. It's important that the districts are defined fairly and equally. In fact, according to the US Constitution, all electoral districts within a given redistricting map must contain approximately the same number of people. The maps that are drawn determine the allocation of political power and representation at every level of government, not just city, but county, state, and congressional across the nation for at least the next 10 years. Now, why does it matter? Well, it matters because where district lines are drawn can determine where people can vote, who they can vote for, and how responsive your elected officials are to your requests. Of course, redistricting must never result in the denial of a person's right to vote on the basis of her race, her color, or her language minority status. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 ensures minority voters an opportunity to elect representatives of their own choice. People in Los Angeles fought hard for the Voting Rights Act of 1965. People of the 9th District fought hard for the Voting Rights Act of 1965, because representation is power. It's your power. Who represents you in City Hall can mean more or less affordable housing, some cleaner streets, better parks, and making sure that your district is drawn in a way that gives you fair representation can make a big difference in the lives of you and your family. Now, how does redistricting work here in Los Angeles? Well, community redistricting really started 20 years ago. Tim Watkins and I worked together 20 years ago in the first Citizens Redistricting Commission in the history of LA. And we do it the same way now. The mayor, the city council, the city controller, and the city attorney each have appointed an advisory commission to advise the city council on how to draw new districts, districts that reflect the unique interests of the hundreds of communities in Los Angeles that make us special. This 21-member commission is made up of diverse citizens from every part of the city. The Redistricting Commission, your commission, is committed to making sure that everyone is fair and equal representation at City Hall. Now, before these lines are redrawn, your commission is going to conduct a series of public hearings. Tonight, as Commissioner Martinez mentioned, is the 15th. We have upcoming, as I'm sure you know, public hearings for Council District 8 and Council District 10. And we also have a final community hearing or citywide hearing on September 11th. Oh, I'm sorry. We just had a terrific public hearing for CD 10, and we have next week Council District 8. Now, there's one for every council district, and then there's the 2 citywide meetings. One was all in Spanish, and then the final one, as I mentioned, is on September 11th. Now, at these hearings, we want people to tell us about shared interests and concerns that your commission should take into consideration when they draw the lines for new council districts. It was only a couple of weeks ago that after a long wait, the federal government finally released last year's census data. When these hearings are done, in another week and a half, the commission is going to gather a wide array of information, including the information that you provide here tonight, and of course, the data from the federal government to draw new maps. As we know, this time around, we had to deal with a 5-month delay from the federal government in the release of 2020 census population data. And so, unfortunately, we had to begin this redistricting process in the absence of that data. This delay by the federal government is unfortunate. We didn't want it this way, but we're all in this together, and we're all doing the best that we can. And it's important to remember that, yes, the federal government data is important. That's only part of the equation in the way that we do it here in LA, because your testimony is a critical part of what the commission is going to do. And that's the part of the process, of course, that we are involved in here together tonight. For your commission to do its work, it's got to listen to the voices of Angelenos. It's got to listen to you as you provide your community of interest testimony, because it's your testimony and the census population data and other data like geographic data that the commission is going to use to draw new districts. Now, a set of maps is going to be drafted at the end of September and presented to the entire community online via public hearings in mid-October to ensure that the commission gets your feedback on the draft maps. Your commission will then make some revisions to the maps as the commission sees appropriate, and then at the end of October, submit them to the city council for the city council's consideration. Now, you also have the opportunity to draw your own map. Some of you perhaps have. You could do it online, right on our website, and when you click submit, your map is saved in our database, and commissioners receive those maps and deliberate over those maps as they meet to consider what are the interests and concerns of various communities across the city. Now, to help our commissioners actually draw district boundaries, because few people are very expert in this endeavor. After all, it only happens 10 years. So we've hired what we think is the nation's leading firm in this space. It's a California firm called Redistricting Partners, led by a longtime California political expert, Paul Mitchell. And Paul is here this evening with his expert line drawer, who's been doing a terrific job for your commission, Ms. Sofia Garcia. And now to discuss a little bit more about redistricting and how these maps work and how you can help us, I'd like to introduce Brother Robert Battles, who is your commission's Associate Director of Community Outreach and Engagement. Rob.
Thank you, Frank, and good evening, everyone. We think that there's two questions that we want to answer immediately, like what helps districts decide maps and what are rules and criteria? So there are four main criteria that the commission must follow when designing the maps. The first being that all council districts must be substantially equal in total population size, which is one way in which where the census data comes into play. Different parts of the district must also be able to connect to one another geographically. A third criteria is that neighborhoods and communities must be kept together to the extent feasible. And then our fourth criteria is that the lines must comply with the Voting Rights Act of 1965, meaning that the council district lines ensure that minority voters, be it Latino, African American, Asian American, et cetera, have an equal opportunity to elect a representative of their choice. Now, folks may be asking, how can I participate to make sure that my voice is heard? This is the most important part of our whole process. But before we get into that, on behalf of the commission, we want to thank everyone who has participated thus far. Thank all of everyone in the public for their incredibly helpful feedback that we've received along this process, whether it was regards to our website or our social media posts. This is a very iterative process, one that is continuously evolving and improving, and that wouldn't be possible without your participation and feedback. But now back to how you can participate. There are many ways to do this during the redistricting process. One of the main ways is by doing what you're doing now. You've joined us tonight for one of our 17 public hearings. These hearings are going to be happening until September 11th, and they will be held in different communities throughout Los Angeles. So as we've mentioned before, we still have a couple council district meetings that are going to be hosting coming up in the next week or so, and then we'll also have a citywide meeting for our community of interest public hearings. Another feature that we're going to be looking forward to is letting everyone in the public know that on our website at laccrc2021.org, you can actually draw your own city council district maps using a great tool called Districtor. This program is already up on our website and it's ready to use. So please make sure that as soon as you have a chance, you can go over there and look at the opportunity on how you can use the tool. So there's also a tutorial video as well. And then finally, another key method is by submitting your written testimony. Not everyone is going to be able to participate through everything that we offer online. So we want to make sure that folks that want to provide public testimony have multiple ways to do so. So if you have the chance, we'd like for you to go to our website, laccrc2021.org. And then we're going to take you to going there will take you to a community of interest form. And it looks a little bit like this. Now, as a caveat, community of interest is a term that we're using that it basically just means your community. Tell us stories about your community. Tell us what it looks like, what it feels like. What do you consider home? Now, once you fill this out, we'll then take all this information and hand it over to the line drawing piece of this process so that they can produce maps, the commissioners can produce maps that represent your community of interest. This method is really helpful, especially for those of us who do not feel comfortable speaking in front of a large group, but we want to make sure that we get your public testimony and include that in our data. So we hope that folks feel a little bit more comfortable using written testimony and take advantage of this opportunity as well. Now, when it comes to either writing or speaking about community, we will take into account any information provided, but we do have a recommendation for how your testimony could address 3 key areas. Number 1, the characteristics of your community. What does your community have shared culture around? What are the characteristics, or what are the things that people in your community, your neighbors, bond around? The second thing is the geographic location. Tell us the specific streets and boundaries and what they look like. And that can include anything from landmarks to specific streets. And then we also want to know your opinion. How does the community impacted by city policy decisions? So how does the city affect your community? So the commission's job is to take your input into consideration and develop these recommendations on how to draw maps. So we want to hear stories from you through your COI testimony, like you're going to do tonight, folks that'll do tonight, or submit it to us on our website or through our email address. And then we also want to see your maps. So please take advantage of the opportunity to draw maps on our website. So we need to hear about what makes your community your community. Tell us about the schools, the churches, parks, shopping areas, right? These are all things. Tell us about the people. You know, these are all the kind of things that make a neighborhood special. And that's the kind of information that we want to hear this evening. And to do so, we're going to our public comment portion of our meeting. And this where we want to hear about communities of interest. So I'm going to make a statement that in conformity with the governor's executive decision N-29-20, and due to concerns over COVID-19, the Los Angeles City Council Redistricting Commission meetings will be conducted entirely virtually and telephonically. Members of the public who would like to give public comment via Zoom webinar on the item listed on the agenda should click on the raised hand function on your screen now and request to speak. If you are calling into the meeting this evening, please press *9 to request to speak. Now I'd like to introduce Harit Trivedi from the City Attorney's Office. Harit.
Thank you, Rob. We'd like to explain a few ground rules for public comment to ensure that we have a fair and efficient process tonight. Considering the large number of participants tonight, including at satellite locations, and in interest of providing the opportunity for as many people to speak as possible, the chair has determined that the commission shall provide an opportunity for members of the public to address the commission on the public input agenda item for 2 minutes per speaker, plus additional time to translate comments by non-English speakers. To members of the public calling in to provide public comment to the commission, when it's your turn to speak, we'll announce your name or the last 3 digits of your phone number or identifying information. Once we announce your number or name or identifying information, then you're live in the meeting and it's your turn to speak. Please immediately unmute yourself. We understand you might be listening to the broadcast of the meeting on the internet or another device. Because there's a time delay between the live meeting and the broadcast, please make sure you pay attention to when we call your name or identifying information, and so that you may immediately unmute yourself and begin to speak. Otherwise, we may think you're no longer on the line or in the meeting, and we'd have to move on to the next speaker. Also, if you're listening to the broadcast of the meeting over the internet or another device, please immediately turn down the volume of that broadcast in order to avoid feedback or confusion because of the time delay. Now, the purpose of tonight's public hearing is to receive public input regarding communities of interest. The presiding officer, the chair, may rule that a speaker is out of order if the speaker's comments are not germane to this item under consideration or are overly repetitive. If the speaker remains out of order, the presiding officer may declare the speaker is impeding the orderly conduct of the meeting, rule the remainder of the speaker's time forfeit, and move on to the next speaker. Finally, I'd like to warn you, commissioners and members of the public, that some members of the public may choose to use modes of expression that are offensive or vulgar, including perhaps the use of racial epithets. Some of that content is First Amendment protected speech, and there's little that we can do but hear it. Members of the public, however, may choose to turn down the volume of the public comment if they choose not to listen to any such offensive language or vulgarities. With that, I'll pass it back to the chair.
Thank you, Harit, very, very much. And before I open for public comments, public testimony, I want to just mention a couple things that I neglected in my introductory remarks. First of all, for members of the public, I want to just let you know that there have been some changes in previously announced commission meetings. The updated schedule of commission meetings is now up on our website. So I wanted to make sure that members of the public were aware of that, were aware of those changes. The second thing I wanted to mention again is one of the hallmarks of our outreach strategy was to use trusted messengers, trusted community-based organizations to help us with turning out individuals to speak before this commission. And tonight we have a number of community-based organizations that did exactly that. And again, I want to mention Scope, Community Health Councils, South Bay Community Counseling Center, Watts Labor Community Action Committee, CD Tech, and two other organizations that I inadvertently failed to mention, Ward EDC and LA CAN. So again, thank you for your efforts for tonight's hearing. So with that, Rob, I'm going to open up to public testimony, and thank you, members of the public, for turning out. And we're going to try to get through this as expeditiously as possible.
All right, thank you very much, Chair Ali. We are going to ask members of the public to once again raise their hand if they would like to get in the line for public comment, and then we will assign you a speaker number. We will announce speakers in small batches. So once we announce your name, you can prepare your comment, but you won't be able to unmute yourself until we grant you permission. So, you know, give us a little patience, but when we say your name, we're going to get ready to give you permission to unmute. So as the chair also mentioned, we want to give everyone a chance to share public comments. So we want to hear not only from the folks who are attending on Zoom, but also in our remote locations at WLCAC and SBCC. So we're going to do a little bit of bouncing around. So we want to give our attendees list a first opportunity to hear to give their public testimony. So we're going to hear from the following three speakers. Our first speaker will be Jacqueline DuPont Walker, followed by a caller ending in phone number 735. And then our third speaker will be Pastor William Smart Jr. So I'd like to ask Jacqueline DuPont Walker to please unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about this evening. You'll have up to 2 minutes to give comments.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the very clear instructions tonight. It helps a lot. I come representing the Adams Normandy area. It's a neighborhood that one might remember if you're around during the Community Redevelopment Agency days. In CD9, there's some very exciting projects taking place. There are neighborhoods that need to be protected, like Adams Normandy, like University Park, like Exposition Park, the area around Trade Tech, and definitely USC. We are concerned that CD9 is as vibrant as it has been in the past. Earlier, Wall Heights was a part of CD9. There was a time when a large part of downtown was a part of CD9. And now we would like the CD9 to reflect the ethnic and cultural diversity, as well as protecting the housing stock, the historic housing stock that is there, as well as the historic institutional stock that's in the area. It is very, very important for neighborhoods not to be separated. And if you can accomplish the equal representation, it is important. That brings me to a request that you join other cities in requesting and protesting the undercount, because there's a clear evidence of serious undercount in Los Angeles, especially in South LA and CD9. It's important for you to bring to our attention how you're going to factor in those persons who are incarcerated because of the law that was put in place, that they must be counted in the communities from which they had come. We join you in celebrating the opportunity for residents to actually be a part of drawing these lines, both in our testimony and you representing us in the districts. Please continue to do that with strength and integrity. Please continue to look at equity and to ensure that CD9 is a vibrant district economically, as well as with a diverse base, and recognizes the kind of leadership that our current council member gives, which respects all people and all cultures. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, speaker. Our next speaker, I may need a little help. Your phone number ends in either 735 or 073. So once again, there's a caller who we're announcing to speak. You either end in 735 or 037. Great. Please press *6 to unmute yourself. And you'll have up to 2 minutes to give comments. So once again, you are calling in and your phone number ends in, okay, I think you got the note. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Pastor Patricia Strong Fargus. I'm the pastor of Mount Salem Church, located at 8762 South Central Avenue in Los Angeles in District 9. Mount Salem Fellowship Church has been a vital part of this community for 60 plus years. Our congregation, along with our neighbors and coalitions of churches that are centered around the end part of District 9, have become a refuge for the community. We have provided families who live there, provided services like housing, vaccinations, unity, feeding, clothing. Even in the pandemic, we have done that. But also our community is made of a diverse neighborhood, rich with history and culture, and full of interesting and unique places to enjoy. And we would like for the commission to keep our community and council district together. I would like to also address many other churches in our coalition, such as Bethel Unspeakable Joy, who has a housing project in District 9. First Antioch, one of the oldest churches that have been in District 9. We have built a culture, a unity, and a neighborhood that the city would be really proud of, but we got to stay together. The works that we have done has to stay together. Our northern borders, such as attractions like the Convention Center, the Staples Center, LA Live, thousands of people visit Exposition Park every day. California Stadium, venture across the way to visit the Rose California Science
Please
Center.
wrap up, speaker.
The Museum of Los Angeles. In other words, our neighborhood has culture. Our neighborhood,
Thank you.
all the borders have culture, and we would like to say the same. Thank you for this opportunity.
You're very welcome. Our next speaker is Pastor William D. Smart Jr. Pastor William D. Smart Jr., please unmute yourself, and you'll
Yes.
have up to 2 minutes to give comments as well.
Thank you. Hello, commissioners. My name is Pastor William D. Smart, President and CEO of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. I would like to share some of my convictions with the Redistricting Commission as it receives public comment here tonight. As you know, the redistricting process is a sacred process. Its sacredness stems from the ability to influence how the needs of any given community will be presented in various political processes. Despite the significant implications that redistricting has on our lives, it can be challenging for individuals to participate in this process. Civic participation in this process is complicated because it takes time for individuals to stand up and speak out to protect their fundamental rights. To this end, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference has had its own stakeholder meetings for the last couple of months to consider the lines that best serve working families that fight for justice throughout Southeast Los Angeles. We are of the opinion that the communities of the Western Avenue corridor and the communities along the Vermont corridor share great interests with their neighbors to the east along Figueroa, the Broadway corridor, Main Street, and Avalon. Figueroa, I'm sorry. We ask that this commission would consider recognizing the shared experience, shared struggle, and shared hopes between the historic families of Southeast and South Los Angeles. There are many who are joining us today that will also echo similar sentiments. Moreover, there are even more who wanted to participate in this meeting but couldn't. But we want you to know that we are going to be presenting a map that has come out of our workshops. And also, we really believe that in the 9th, that Staples and Southern and USC needs to stay together in this district, and we need to make sure all along in the all 3 African American districts where that's represented that our voting rights are not contaminated with in any capacity. Thank you for your valuable time.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Before we announce the next group of speakers, we want to remind folks that we are going to hear from multiple remote locations at tonight's meeting. And we really want to hear from everyone and make everyone feel like you can participate in your natural speaking voice. So we want to hear you in your natural language. So in order for us to all do that, we ask, if you haven't done so already, to find the interpretation globe on your screen. And if you prefer to hear this meeting in English, please press English. And in case anyone is speaking in Spanish, you'll hear everything interpreted right there for English for you. And if you'd like to hear this meeting in Spanish, please press the Spanish language button on your icon. All right, our next three speakers are going to be Dolce Vasquez, KW Tulos, and Benjamin Torres. So I'd like to ask Dulce Vasquez to please unmute themselves and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about this evening.
Hi, good evening, commissioners. Thank you so much for your service. We owe you a debt of gratitude. I'm a homeowner in Vermont Square. I'm also a homeowner in downtown Los Angeles. And, I want to point out the differences in those neighborhoods. I want to point out, as you think about the diversity of these neighborhoods, the diversity of CD9, the economic interests of CD9, this is a district with the lowest educational attainment in the entire city, a district with the lowest median household income in the entire city, the second highest unemployment rate in the entire city, 10 out of 15 in council districts in employment opportunities for our residents, the lowest value of building permits of any other district in this city. Compared to downtown Los Angeles, which was removed from District 9, as was mentioned by another commenter during the 2011 redistricting process. Compared to CD10, CD10 has 10 times as many gross tax receipts at CD9 and 4 times as many jobs in CD14 as in CD9. As you take a look at our economic interests, I want to make sure that you lift CD9 as well, because this almost segregation has been drawn into existence. And I want to make sure that you take those things into consideration to lift our communities, to lift job opportunities and educational opportunities for this district. Thank you so much for allowing public comment during this, and I look forward to seeing the maps that come out in October.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Our next speaker, KW Tulos, please unmute yourself, and you'll have up to 2 minutes to give comments as well. KW Tulos, please unmute yourself. You're ready to go.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, good. My name is Pastor KW Tulos, and I'm the president of the Baptist Ministers Conference here in Los Angeles and Southern California. I'm very excited to be here with you this evening to share my thoughts on this very, very important issue. Generally, African Americans have historically only received justice in very minimum ways. Due to this, I want you all to understand that redistricting is imperative for the Black and Brown communities that struggle for a brighter future in South Los Angeles. The activists in our communities are clear about the critical importance of maximizing South LA as a whole, the electoral influences via our Los Angeles City Council. To illustrate this point, first of all, let me note that in South LA, we have 3 city council districts, and we believe that these 3 council districts are due to South LA, namely one district that includes the eastern portion of South Los Angeles to the western corridor, and another one, the western corridor to Crenshaw Boulevard, and the third that stretches from Crenshaw to the northeast edges of South Los Angeles. Additionally, I would like to add that the southeastern portion of Los Angeles is often overlooked by the broader city, and the only advocate sometimes seems to only be the city council representative or the neighborhood council. But in all honesty, I want everyone to know that really our communities, we all have and we all share common goals goals such as transportation, healthcare, economic development, education, especially that's shared in the Southeast Los Angeles and Western Avenue corridor. A final point, whether it's the line cook, car washer, homemade, entrepreneur, our city of Los Angeles is vibrant, and we are here to say that we're going to continue to advocate on behalf of the residents of our city to make sure that our districts are intact. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our next speaker, Benjamin Torres. Please unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about, and you'll have up to 2 minutes to give comments.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Torres. I'm the president and CEO of CD Tech. We are an organization that's focused on race equity and economic justice in South Los Angeles, primarily focused in the 8th, 9th, and 10th council districts of the city. And I want to make sure that we give testimony today about the importance of keeping South Los Angeles intact in the sense that we have worked very, very hard for many decades to forge an identity around historic South Central that builds unity between Black, Brown, undocumented, and immigrant residents. We've built that unity through struggle, through community building, organizing, and love for our community, love for our neighborhoods. We've developed a resilience nature that stands up for each other and tries to work along with our nonprofits, elected officials, with our small businesses and grassroots residents to try and improve the quality of life for folks in South Central Los Angeles. The concerns that we have about reaching north into downtown is disenfranchisement. Black and Brown residents must have representation, and by that I'm talking about working class Black and Brown and immigrant undocumented residents must have representation at the city. Going into downtown and the unaffordable market rate housing that's been built could disenfranchise all Black and Brown residents and all the struggle for justice that's been going on for decades if we go too far north. We do believe that USC, Expo Park, parts of the entertainment district, even some commercial spaces do need to help bring resources to the 9th to support households. But we are very much concerned about making sure that grassroots residents from low income households have their voice at the table if we are truly to transform the communities around us. We worked on the South Plan and the Southeast Plan through the People's Plan, and that identifies a very strong step forward that is about creating policy that helps these communities that I've identified here tonight. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Speaker. As we mentioned for folks tonight, we are highlighting our community engagement process by also giving an opportunity for remote locations to give public testimony live during our public hearing. So at this moment, we want to give the folks out at the South Bay Counseling Center an opportunity to get set up and to prepare to give public testimony. So I'm going to go ahead and spotlight them for everyone. All right, so good evening, folks at the SBCC. And once again, if you are joining our meeting tonight in the name of language justice, we're asking everyone to click the interpretation icon on your screen and choose your preferred language this evening to hear either the meeting in English or in Spanish. And that way folks can feel comfortable to come on and give their testimony any way they want. So South Bay Community Center, you ready to go?
Buenas tardes, señores comisionados. Mi nombre es Sara Navarro. Tengo 4 hijos y vivo en la calle 88 y San Pedro por 30 años. Quisiera remodelar mi distrito. Me gustaría que el distrito 9 comience del freeway de este lado y termine en Alameda del otro lado, y de este lado que comience en Imperial y termine en Washington. ¿Para qué? Para que los concejales tengan mejor proporción y no esté como ustedes verán, el distrito 9 está mal distribuido, que muchos de nuestros vecinos no sabemos ni siquiera a qué distrito pertenecemos. A mí me toca, por ejemplo, yo vivo en el límite del distrito 8 con el distrito 9 y muchas veces hemos tenido muchos problemas que el concejal del distrito 8 le echa la culpa al concejal del distrito 9 y no nos quieren ayudar en resolver nuestras quejas, nuestros problemas que nosotros anteriormente habíamos tenido en la comunidad. pero estoy muy involucrada, soy miembro de la comunidad de Green Meadows, pertenezco a SOLA, otra organización, he trabajado con CDTech, estoy parte de los vecinos de Green Meadows New Hub, Green Meadows We Stand, estoy muy involucrada en la comunidad y a mí la verdad me gustaría que mi distrito se remodelara. Gracias.
All right, thank you very much. We want to give your next speaker a chance to join us as well.
Buenas tardes, soy Ana Belva Córdoba, vivo en la calle 94 entre la McKinley y Washburn, pertenezco al distrito 9, vivo por 21 años en esta comunidad. Tengo mis 2 hijos que van a la escuela high school, pero en Huntington Park, y un hijo que va también a Northridge, a la universidad. Soy voluntaria del NAC de SBCC, también pertenezco a la comunidad de Broadway, Manchester. También en la actualidad estoy en el grupo de SODLA, y también soy voluntaria en el Green Meadows Park, ¿no? Mi familia y yo siempre usamos los parques que no pertenecen a mi distrito, porque es el que está en la Central y la Century, que es el Teddy Walker, que no pertenece, ¿verdad? Yo también uso los parques que está en la Superior, que tampoco es de mi distrito, y me gustaría, ¿verdad?, que se haga restauración, porque me gustaría que todo esté dentro de mi distrito, y que mi distrito sea también unido al distrito 8, ¿verdad? También quiero decir que nuestra comunidad está habitada por afroamericanos y latinos, y mi preocupación en la actualidad es la seguridad de mi distrito, ¿verdad? Y eso sería todo. Gracias.
All right. So once again, we're hearing public testimony from the folks at the South Bay Community Center, or also affectionately known as SBCC. And if you are hearing public testimony in Spanish, there's nothing wrong with that. Just please click the language icon on your screen. It's in the shape of a globe if you haven't chosen your preferred speaking language. All right, good evening. Go ahead and get started whenever you're ready.
Sí, muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Hermila Ábalos. Soy con SBCC y estoy de acuerdo que todo está bien. Vivo en Avalon Garden, entre la 88 Play y Avalon. Vivo en el sur de Los Ángeles. Yo hago mis compras en el número 1, que está ubicado entre la Manchester y San Pedro. He vivido durante 18 años aquí en Avalon Garden. También hago compras en el superior, que está ubicado entre la Avalon y la 103. También hago mis compras en la Manchester y la Hooper, del súper que está ahí ubicado en la Manchester y Hooper. Soy madre de 2 hijos. Se criaron en esta comunidad y paso tiempo en el centro comunitario de Avalon Garden, ubicado en la 88 y Avalon. Frecuento el parque Green Meadows, parque ubicado en la Avalon y 89. En mi comunidad somos afroamericanos y hispanos, compartimos culturas similares. A mí me gustaría que mi comunidad se quedara igual. Me siento representada y somos una comunidad con muchos valores. Es todo. Gracias.
You're very welcome. And once again, we want to hear from everyone this evening who's participating in our public hearing. So if you're in our attendees list, please be patient. We will make sure to get back to you. And if you have not joined the list yet, please feel free to press the raise hand icon on your screen if you're attending this meeting on Zoom webinar on your computer or laptop. And if you are calling into today's meeting and you would like to give public testimony, please press *9 to raise your hand. All right, SBCC, we wanted to give you all a second to get settled. So please take your time, no rush. All right, good evening. You will have up to 2 minutes to give your public testimony. Please begin whenever you're ready.
Ok, muy buenas noches. Mi nombre es Jacqueline Cortina. Soy voluntaria de la comunidad Broadway Manchester y un grupo comunitario llamado Sotla. Soy parte del Distrito 9. Vivo en la calle Avalon y 94. Tengo viviendo aquí 23 años. Soy madre de 6 hijos, 5 varones y una niña. Mis hijos menores asisten, los 2 varones en la Burton Tech High School, ubicada en la Broadway y 101. Y mi niña asiste en una escuela aquí, ubicada en la 102 y Gray, siendo estas escuelas charter. Fui voluntaria en las escuelas de mis hijos en la elementaria 107, ubicada en 107 y Main, y en la College Ready número 4, que se encuentra en May y 98 Street, desde que ellos iniciaron la escuela. Y sigo de voluntaria en otras organizaciones como Vestar, conectadas con CHC, Grupo Green Mirrors de SBCC, Grupo Green Mirrors y SBCC, y Avalon Gardens. Hago mis compras en la superior, ubicada en Avalon y 103, y la Food for Less, que está en Canto y 103, y el Super Florence y San Pedro. Pienso que el Distrito 9 pueda crecer, ya que colinda con lugares que son parte del condado, como de Canto a Alameda, ya que no tienen representación. Muchas gracias.
All right, thank you, folks out at the SBCC. We want to give everyone a chance to have their voice heard. So we're going to give South Bay Counseling Center a chance to get set up in case they have more speakers. But right now, we want to ask the folks over at the Watts Labor Community Action Center Committee to give us an opportunity to hear from them. So we want to ask the folks at WLCAC to go ahead and prepare their public testimony comments. We will allow up to 2 minutes per person. So please feel free to give us a heads up if you all want to get in line. And I think we can see you all pretty good.
So
when you're ready, go ahead and unmute yourself if you all still have mute on.
Can you hear me?
No, you're good to go.
All right, so this is Tim Watkins from the Watts Labor Community Action Committee, but tonight I'm actually here as a 68-year resident of Watts. And I sent a clip, a 4-minute clip to you that I wanted to play for the various watchers and listeners because it expresses, at least in 4 minutes, the best that I can, why it's so important that the area of Watts be considered for inclusion in CD9. And I know that it seems a really long shot, but in 2010, the Redistricting Commission actually generated a map that showed Watts as part of CD9, and it immediately made great sense. It was organic, it was contiguous, it was not splitting a community of interest. And so tonight, myself and other stakeholders and residents of Watts have joined here in the absence of widespread internet access throughout the community. This was a way for us to all get together and come and speak for a few minutes. My encouragement again is for Watts, who's been subject. If you're looking at the map, you see the southwest corner of Watts, down in the corner, barely connected to that turquoise green part. We're not, you know, the other 3.5 sides of Watts are transitioning into the county. We're like on an island. It's like being abandoned, and we desperately want to be with neighbors that hear the sounds, see the sights, smell the smells, and feel the cultural and historic passions of each other in a district that's far more like their own. So Watts would like to join CD9.
All right, thank you. Would your next speaker like to make their way to the microphone? Good evening. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and you'll have up to 2 minutes to give comment.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Keenan Davis.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Make sure, Beatrice, that you are on the Spanish channel when translating. Thank you.
All right, folks at the WSCLC, we'll start you over and go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Keenan Davis. I am the Deputy Director of Senior Services at Watts Labor Community Action Committee. I didn't plan on speaking here tonight. However, what Tim said was really empowering. I work in the community of Watts. I spent half of my life working in the community of Watts, but I'm actually a resident of San Pedro for 8 years, very long time. When you travel down south to the city of San Pedro, things start to look a little different. You have waterfront properties being built, multi-million-dollar waterfront properties. To my understanding, the restaurant Yamashiro, which is a 5-star restaurant, is coming over there to join that waterfront property. Sugar Factory, another 5-star restaurant. A lot of that stuff is really starting to come up over there, right? Right. So when you look at interest, you look at all of these new jobs being created, and the people of Watts are not going to benefit from that. The people of Watts are not going to see any jobs from that. We're not going to see any community growth. It's obvious where the priorities of District 15 is. And it's over down south with those other people. The community of Watts belongs in CD9. That needs to be corrected. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for your testimony, and thank you for your camera person for making adjustments, and now we can see everybody. Your next person, please go ahead and introduce yourself, and you'll have up to 2 minutes as well.
Hi, good evening. My name is Marianne Cortez. I'm a resident of Watts. I want to say thank you, commissioners, and the people of the WLCAC and the residents of Watts. Thank you for coming out here. It's really important, this meeting, because not all of us have internet, so I'm glad that I was able to come here in person. And I wish I could see you in front, but it's not possible because now during the COVID. But I want to tell you, I'm a mother of 6 children. I lived here in Watts over 27 years. It's hard for me to see my community as I wanted to see in the future for my kids. My kids all grown here. I was just 26. When I just travel a couple miles down, it's beautiful. I see the different landscapes, the homes and everything. But I don't see my community being represented here. And I'm tired year after year that goes by. My kids graduated from college. I don't want them to go far. This is their community. I want them to continue servicing here, but there's no jobs, no opportunities. And it's sad that year after year, we see nothing going on. Very little changes in our community. In the education component, we got to fight for a better education in our community. Why is that the case? For our kids to succeed, we have to be advocates in the schools, and they got to know you by name. And once they know you by name, they're like, here she comes again. It's very unfair. We want to be with a community that we all could relate, we all could respect. And I am proud to be a Watts resident. And I'm here to stand up and tell you that change needs to come, because I've been here many years and I haven't seen change. It's like we fight every day to have a better life. And why? If we deserve it, why a couple miles down, they have all the luxuries and the support in the school systems, in their communities, when we don't have it here. The community of safety also. You know, by the time we get someone to come out for an issue or problem, it takes hours. And over there, you just get a call and within minutes they come out. So we see the difference. There shouldn't be a difference. I want someone to represent my community and me the same as everybody else.
Thank you. Good to hear from you, Marianne. Long time no see. Please let your next speaker make their way up to the microphone. Once again, we can hear public comment up to 2 minutes from each person. We want to hear what makes your community unique and what you want us to take into consideration when drawing new boundaries for CD9. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Masala Nagash. I'm the Vice President of WLCAC. I've worked for WCAC since 1980, so I know the needs of this community and have been working to meet the needs of this community. And our community, the Watts community, has similar demographic and economic characteristics with north of the Watts area, that's the 9th district. So we need to join that community. We have been, we don't have much in common with us, the San Pedro area. So I support what Tim had said and the previous speakers have said. So I would like us to join the 9th Council District. Thank you.
All right. Once again, we're hearing public testimony from the Watts Labor Community Action Committee, WLCAC. The next speaker has just joined the microphone. Go ahead and get started whenever you're ready.
It's kind of strange I can't see everybody on the screen, but I've been a historian. I'm a board member of WLCAC and been working with Tim on this redistricting for over a year. And Watts has been in this sort of gerrymandered state since 1927. And over that time period, it has experienced one revolt and one riot. And the roots to that are always the same. It's lack of opportunity, it's not having a voice heard, and it's being subject to a community that really does not listen to the needs of the people. And the needs of the people are very simple. Even today, I was driving on a road and there's a bump in the road when you come up from Century from the freeway. And that bump has been there for years. And it is a terrible bump for your car. That's simple, that's baby stuff. And for stuff like that, that isn't even big things. It has nothing to do with providing living wage or having housing or support or services or 21 other different service areas that WLCAC provides excellent service for. It's even down to the little things that we know there's money for. And the voices that are supposed to listen to this community don't, because there's no pressure on them. And we believe that moving to the 15th district, we've been in a contiguous map, we've been in like communities, and we have a much better access to representation and services and just getting the general voice heard in this small 2.2 square miles. So just looking at sort of that historical to today and even the minor things, you know, there needs to be some sort of shift. And we think that redistricting is the way to really get the voice heard. So thank you guys.
All right, thank you very much, speaker. Please feel free to have your next speakers join up, walk up to the microphone. You can have up to 2 minutes.
Hello, my name is Janine Watkins. Today I represent Ruby Cloud and Robert Cloud. I represent John Allen Neal. I represent all the Neals that have been here since the 1920s. Watts will not take no for an answer. We are here. The more oppressed we get, the closer we get. The more suppressed we get, the taller we stand. CD 15 has not represented us. I'm 60 years old now, and I've watched decades. Joan Milky Flores, Janice Hahn, Buscaino. We have not been represented for over 30 plus years. We have not had a community plan since 1966. 1966, I said. CD 15 has a specific community plan that has been going on for several years. We are a part of CD 15. How did we get cut out of a community plan? How are we in South LA, but we're part of CD 15? The gerrymandering needs to stop. They say that this can't be done, that we cannot be added to CD 9, but I think we can, because we don't take no for an answer. We are survivors, we are intelligent, we have some of the most brilliant kids in the world in this community. We are suppressed under poverty, we are relegated to consumerism, to be commodities, and to be criminals. That's what LA has left us with. We are here to help you save yourselves. LA has to get this right this time. In order for LA to do right, you gotta do right by Watts. I can't say it loud enough, LA. If you do not do right by us, we have to continue to pursue our freedom, our right to be in America, our right to be in Los Angeles. It's time for this commission to stand up and have the courage to get it right. Can you get it right this time, LA? Please, commissioners, stand up and do the right thing. I thank you for this day. I thank you for allowing Watts to talk. And I represent all of those people that stand behind me and stand with me. We are here to either get this right in line or give us the county to get it right, or we will look at secession. Those are the choices we have, but if you put us in line, that gives us a reprieve from being oppressed and relegated to poverty, consumerism, and being commodities. We need you to do the right thing by Watts. Thank you for my time.
All right. We are hearing powerful testimony at tonight's public hearing space, and we want to give everyone in the public an opportunity to have their voices heard. So we're going to hear another speaker from the WLCAC over in Watts. And once again, members throughout the city of Los Angeles can attend any of our public hearings to give COI testimony. So let's go back to the WLCAC. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and you'll have up to 2 minutes as well.
My name is Brandy Flowers, and I recently just began working in Watts at WLCAC. However, I live in another community, and I wanted to just share that there's a drastic difference in terms of the way that the neighborhoods look from where I live and where I work. The streets are clearly so much better in the neighborhood that I live in, and it's just a drastic difference in terms of the roads, the grocery stores that I go to where I live versus where I work. And I see firsthand just the neglect that this community constantly have suffered with just being in a district that doesn't represent what this community needs, and and doesn't listen to the voices of the people in this community. So I just wanted to share that where I live and where I work is so different, and it doesn't make sense that, like the other speaker that was saying, that there is just potholes or holes in the road, and those are easy things that can be fixed, and that the roads don't have to look the way that they look. And there's so much trash that is in public areas that are just very blatant, that this community has not been heard or cared about for a very long time. So I definitely think that this community needs to be in a district that cares about itself and is represented by its representatives in a way that shows that this community is worth it.
All right, thank you very, very much. We want to put a pause now on our remote locations. We want to give some attention back to our Zoom list. So folks at the WLCAC, please hold tight. We will definitely come back to you, but we want to hear from a little bit of everybody. So great testimony. Thank you very much. So our next three speakers I want to announce are participating in our Zoom webinar, and they are Angeles Rosales, Irma Avila, and Jerry Taylor. So please unmute yourself, Angeles Rosales, and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about, and you'll have 2 minutes to give your testimony. So once again, our next speaker is in our attendees list, Angeles Rosales. Please unmute yourself. Hello.
Sí, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Ángeles Rosales y soy del Distrito 9. Necesitamos generar recursos adicionales de algunos de los distritos que necesitamos tener en el distrito. Quiero que el distrito se quede como está y no perder el área de USC ni de Washington, a Vermont y Figueroa, que pueden ayudar a traer recursos aquí a nuestro distrito. Creo que como comunidad aquí en el subcentro de Los Ángeles hemos luchado y soy una de las personas, estoy involucrada en diferentes organizaciones y creo que es muy importante que tengamos esos recursos en la comunidad para toda nuestra comunidad. Oh my God, ¿se puede hablar?
All right, thank you very much, speaker. Our next speaker is Irma Avila. Irma Avila, please unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about. So Irma Avila, it's okay. We're gonna come back and give them a chance to get ready. How about Jerry Taylor? Let's give Jerry Taylor an opportunity to unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you want to speak about this evening. You'll have up to 2 minutes. Once again, Jerry Taylor, go ahead and unmute yourself.
All right.
Okay, I can see you're unmuted now.
Yes.
Good to go.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Taylor. I'm on 88th and Central, between the three churches. Pastor Patricia Strong Fargas is my pastor. I'm one of the administrative officers in the facility. I grew up in Los Angeles area and preferably over at District 9. But one of the things that I just want to stress is we're working hard over there. It was already stated that we're doing a lot of stuff like education, feeding, safety. We don't want our district to change. We want it to stay the same. We know it's going to improve because we're getting more people coming to us for different needs, whether it's housing, whether it's food, whether it's clothing or shelter, or however the case may be. So we want the mapping to stay the same, and we want to improve District 9. That's the end of my speech. Thank you so much for listening and allowing me to speak.
All right, thank you very much, speaker. I want to give Irma Avila one more opportunity. So if you're still on, Irma Avila, please unmute yourself. All right, you have 2 minutes.
Sí estoy presente. Buenas tardes. Yo soy Irma Ávila y vivo en calle 22 y San Pedro. Yo soy miembro de Grupo SOLA, que es Sociedad Organizada de Latinas Activas, bajo CDTech. Yo quiero hablar acerca del Distrito 9, que necesita tener una voz política en el sur de Los Ángeles para las personas afroamericanas y morenos, incluidos los inmigrantes y las poblaciones indocumentadas. El proceso de redistribución de distritos nos ha permitido hablar con nuestros vecinos y otras partes interesadas que han ayudado a desarrollar una identidad histórica en Sur Central resistente de Distrito 9. También quiero decir que soy comisionada de salud representando al Distrito 9 en la Los Ángeles Health Commission. Soy mamá, soy abuela y miembro de la comunidad de Sur Centro por los últimos 30 años. También soy secretaria en la mesa directiva de Eisner Health Center, por lo que conozco muy bien mi comunidad y sé las necesidades que hay en ella y los cambios que las decisiones que se tomen no solo me van a afectar a mí, a mi familia, sino a mis hijos y mis nietos. Y eso es algo que va a perjudicar por décadas. Entonces, es preocupante y por eso estamos atentos a las decisiones que se tomen, porque nos va a afectar a todos o nos puede beneficiar a todos. Entonces, estamos muy alertas en eso. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, speaker. Our next group of speakers, please go ahead and get ready. You're identified as LA Pulse, followed by DeAntoine Fitz, and then Roxana. So LA Pulse, go ahead and unmute yourself. Once again, LA Pulse, you're our next speaker. You can unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about tonight, and you can have up to 2 minutes to give your statement. So we're giving attendee identified as LA Pulse an opportunity to speak right now, but maybe they're not ready. So let's go and ask DeAntoine Fitz, if you're ready to speak, go ahead and unmute yourself. And you can have up to 2 minutes.
All right, thank you guys for having me. My name is DeAntoine Fitz. I'm senior pastor at Peace Chapel Church of Los Angeles. I'm also co-executive director and founder of Rebuild California Alliance. We are on the southern end of the 9th district, right across the street from the back of Fremont High School on Avalon. And we are really gaining some traction. We host one of the largest, actually the largest festival on the southern end of the 9th District. And we are building a network of community development churches. We are in the process of doing a development, an affordable housing development. We offer testing. We have a testing site, and we have a strategy for stopping the spread of COVID-19, starting with the churches offering COVID-free worship services. And so, you know, we really are pretty neutral when it comes to this because we just found out about this today. But whoever comes in the 9th District, especially on the southern end, they need to check in with us because we are really gaining some traction here and we don't need anybody to disrupt. We've already started forming alliances with other churches and other community organizations. And so, you know, again, like Pastor Pat mentioned, reserving the heritage of this community, we are concerned about the interests of both the Black and the brown. And so our church is very diverse. The network of churches that we're building, very diverse. And so, you know, anybody that's looking to make a power move in the 9th District, we're not allowing that. Because we're already forming our partnerships with other churches and organizations, and we are here. I grew up in this community. That's why I care about this community. We're connected with all of the gangs in the community, both Black and brown, and you know we're moving them in a direction of dealing with mental health issues and issues that exist between Hispanics and Blacks. We're making peace, and so whoever comes in this particular area, they need to check in with us. And so again, we're neutral when it comes to whether we include Watts with this or not.
Please
we're still trying to find out a little bit more about this. But thank you guys so much for allowing me to share.
All right, thank you very much. LA Pulse or La Pulse, we want to give you an opportunity to, because you're still in the line, go ahead and give your public comment. You're good to go.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Johnny Andrade. I'm a resident, long time member of the South Los Angeles neighborhood, specifically the 9th District. Born and raised here in South Central Los Angeles, and I'm here to also president of the South Central Neighborhood Council, member of the Central Alameda Neighborhood Council, and worked on different projects within Watts, South LA, the 9th District, and a few others. I'm here to echo what my brother before me stated about the hard work that South LA, the 9th District, has specifically been doing with our neighbors, with organizations, with USC, with downtown. We have struggled and we have worked together. We have worked hard to bridge relationships and strengthen them and really galvanize them, and to see, and I'm here to state that that the 9th District stay the same. We have built relationships with our council member, with our mayor, with our captains of the police department, with our gangs, with our clergy, with groups. So what I want to say is I want to urge those groups that may not have that relationship to build on that. Build relationships with your electeds, build relationships with your organizations within the area, so you too can see the fruits of having an area like the 9th grow. We've been forgotten. We have just like Watts has, but we have come together to go ahead and strengthen and build who we are. And it would just be unfortunate if we get redistricted and forgotten all over again. Thank you. And again, I'm here to keep the district the same.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker, Roxana. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and you have 2 minutes as well.
Hi everyone. Hola, buenas tardes. Nosotras como líderes y residentes de Sodla, empoderados por CDTech, Hemos caminado por las calles del Distrito 9, tocando miles de puertas y trabajando duro para involucrar a los residentes a participar en el proceso democrático. Necesitamos asegurarnos de seguir aumentando nuestra capacidad para influir en las políticas, los programas y la calidad de vida de nuestros residentes. El Distrito 9 debe dibujarse de manera que no permita que los residentes del centro tengan la capacidad de silenciarnos al tener un bloque de votación que se preocupe por los problemas del centro y no el resto del sur, del área del sur de Los Ángeles, que históricamente ha sido marginada. Yo soy tesorera de SODLA, Sociedad Organizada de Latinas Activas. Tengo un pequeño negocio de limpieza y vivo sobre la San Pedro y la Jefferson. Mis hijos van a USC Highway en la 39 y la Vermont. A mí me gustaría que se quedara, que no separaran USC del Distrito 9, que quedara así como está. También soy voluntaria en mi iglesia y estoy muy feliz de vivir aquí. Ya llevo 21 años viviendo en el Distrito 9. Gracias y feliz tarde.
All right, very welcome. As we mentioned before, we have members throughout the city who are participating in tonight's public hearing. So we want to go back to the South Bay Counseling Center, SBCC. We know that we have some residents that would still like to give some public testimony. So SBCC, you can go ahead and unmute yourselves and we'd love to hear from you.
Sí, aló, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Alba Rodríguez. Hace ratos participé, ¿cómo es? Le ayudé a la señora Hermila Ábalos a dar su testimonio. Ahorita voy a dar el mío. Bueno, como les dije, mi nombre es Alba Rodríguez. Soy de Honduras. Llegué aquí a Los Ángeles en el año 92, en el cual pues llegué aquí al sur de Los Ángeles. Estoy viviendo aquí en Avalon Garden, que está ubicado aquí en la 88 Play y Avalon. Tengo viviendo aquí 20 años. Tengo 3 hijos, el cual pues tengo una hija que se llama Dayanira, la otra se llama Natalia y mi hijo Orlando. Ellos estudiaron aquí por mucho tiempo, se graduaron, fueron unos buenos muchachos y en las escuelas que estuvieron, pues estuvieron muy bien ellos, sin ningún problema, que también pertenece al Distrito 9. También soy voluntaria de SBCC y también vamos a la marca del número 1 que está ubicado en la San Pedro y Manchester. Al igual también vamos a la superior que está ubicado también en la 103 y la Ávalo. Pues aquí donde vivimos, pues es un lugar tranquilo, rodeado de gente latina y afroamericanos. El Distrito 9 pues ha hecho mucho en que no hayan disturbios, no hayan problemas de pandillas. Al igual también estamos muy satisfechos con la policía, pues pasa bastante seguido por acá y eso nos hace tener mucha seguridad. También pertenezco a la mesa directiva de aquí de Avalon Garden. Represento sargento de armas. Pues estoy alegre al compartir mis historias con todos ustedes y pienso que pues el Distrito 9 se puede quedar igual y que las comunidades se queden unidas. Es todo lo que tengo que decir. Pasen buenas tardes.
All right, thank you very much. So our next speaker is joining us from the South Bay Community Counseling Center. So please go ahead and let us know your name and you'll have 2 minutes to give comments as well.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos los comisionados. Mi nombre es Patricia Hernández y tengo 3 hijos. he sido presidente del Consejo de Residentes en Avalon Gardens por 5 años y he trabajado con diferentes organizaciones tales como SBCC, con nuestro grupo de Smiley Faces, Best Star Broadway Manchester, CSP y voluntariada con el Distrito 9. Todos ellos han traído diferentes recursos a nuestra comunidad y he vivido aquí por 11 años. Estamos ubicados en la 88 Play entre Avalon y McKinley, en el sur centro de Los Ángeles, y pertenecemos al Distrito 9. Mi familia y yo hacemos nuestras compras en la Superior y que está en Avalon en la 103 y el número 1 que está en la San Pedro y Manchester. Y lo único que mi preocupación es la inseguridad a veces que tenemos, pero pues creo que mi distrito está bien a pesar de todo y no quiero que cambie nada, me gusta como está. Gracias, feliz tarde o noche.
All right. So once again, we want to hear from everyone this evening. Please, if you are attending this meeting on Zoom, on your laptop or your tablet, please press the raise hand function and you'll join our speakers list. And if you're calling in, please press *9 and then we'll put you in the speakers list that way. We're going to hear from everyone tonight, but right now we're going to hear from more public testimony from the SBCC. Go ahead.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Salvador Herrera. Soy miembro del comité de SBCC y de Green Meadow Park. En esta tarde quiero agradecer más que todo la comunicación que tienen estas reuniones para hacer más información a la gente de nuestras comunidades que están necesitadas de más información sobre esto. Una de mis prioridades sería la inseguridad que hay en estas calles que está en la Avalon y de la Manchester a la 104, perdón. En estas últimas 2 semanas han aumentado los robos de catalizadores y más que todo unas balaceras. Eso me gustaría más que hubiera un poco más de vigilancia en esta calle específicamente. Nosotros vamos a hacer nuestras compras a los supermercados número 1 que están en la Manchester San Pedro, en la Superior de la 103 y la Avalon. Y tengo 3 hijos y más que todo pertenezco también aquí a los parques. Me gustaría que hubiera un poco más de limpieza en los parques y el apoyo a la comunidad. Ante todo, muchas gracias y nuevamente se les agradece por esta información que dan la oportunidad para expresar a la gente. Que tengan buen día. Hasta luego.
Well, we're happy to hear everyone's public testimony. We only get to do this once every 10 years. So we're very happy to be here this evening to hear not only from the South Bay Counseling Center, but also from the Watts Labor Community Action Committee. So SBCC, you can go ahead and introduce yourself and get started. You have 2 minutes.
Muy buenas tardes, muy buenas noches. Mi nombre es Amada Burgos y soy residente del Distrito 9 desde hace 14 años. Yo vivo en Avalon Gardens y soy miembro de SBCC y mi dirección es la calle 723 Camelot Way, número 144, Los Ángeles, California, 90002. Y como les dije anteriormente, yo vivo desde hace 14 años aquí. Soy madre de 2 hijos mayores de edad, pero uno de ellos asistió a todas las escuelas pertenecientes al Distrito 9, que son Charles Drew, que está entre la Manchester y la Canton, y la otra es ¿cómo se llama la otra escuela? La Freeman. Y hemos estado viviendo aquí desde ese tiempo y desde que nos mudamos a esta área nos hemos sentido muy identificados con las demás personas, por lo menos en sus culturas. Tenemos costumbres similares y no tuvimos problemas al poder comunicarnos con casi todos. Mi familia y yo pasamos buenos ratos en los parques cercanos, compramos en las tiendas cercanas que están ubicadas en la Manchester y la San Pedro, que es la número 1, en la Superior, que está en la Florence y la Canton. Vamos a la farmacia CVS, que está en la Central Lawson. Me gustaría mucho me gusta mucho vivir en mi comunidad, que es el Distrito 9, por lo que me siento apoyada por todos. Nos sentimos libres de ir a cualquier parte de nuestro distrito. Algunas veces sí tenemos preocupaciones por las balaceras que hay en nuestro alrededor, y por eso muchas veces estamos trabajando y les agradecemos a las personas que nos ayudan en en esto que estamos tratando de hacer para evitar todo esto. Por esas razones, las razones anteriormente mencionadas, me gustaría que del Distrito 9 quedara igual como está y que no cambie nada, porque nos sentimos libres, nos sentimos en comunicación con todos. Muchas gracias y es todo. Buenas noches.
Oh, all righty. Our next speakers just made their way to the microphone. Go ahead and you have up to 2 minutes as well.
Soy José. Soy BSC. Vivo en Los Ángeles, from Distrito 9. Me gustaría que quedaba Distrito 9 del mismo. En que no movieran nada y que quede el mismo. En que ayuden a otros, en que ayuden a los policías también. Bueno, gracias.
All right. Once again, we're hearing public testimony from folks out at the South Bay Counseling Center. Hi, good evening. Introduce yourself and you'll have up to 2 minutes to give your comment.
Buenas noches, comisionarios. Mi nombre es Concepción Batres, en colaboración con SDSS. Vivo en el sur de Los Ángeles, en los proyectos de Avalon Garden, ubicados en la 88 Street, Avalon. Tengo 12 años viviendo en esta comunidad. Yo hago mis compras en el número 1, que está ubicado en la Manchester y San Pedro. La superior, que está ubicada en la 103. Me siento a gusto viviendo en mi comunidad. En mi comunidad somos hispanos y africanos. Compartimos culturas similares. Yo ayudo a repartir comida en Avalon Garden, que está ubicado en la 88 y Avalon. Soy madre de 3 hijos. Mis hijos fueron a la John Adams en la 30 y Broadway. Fueron a la Jefferson y de la Jefferson fueron fueron a la Jefferson. En la Jefferson fui tesorera por 3 años para el RAPS de Avalon Garden. Y me gustaría que mi comunidad se quedara igual, porque me gusta esta unidad y nos ayudamos unos a los otros. Gracias.
All right, thank you from folks at the SBCC. Now we want to go around on our tour of the district. We want to ask our folks over at WLCAC. You guys still see us? Wave your hands. We're going to give you all a chance to give your folks ready to join us and give public testimony. So once again, we're going out to the Watts Labor Community Action Committee right now.
Yes, so we submitted, we had 2 people that deferred their time so that you could show a 4-minute clip that we wanted the viewers to see.
All right, so
Okay,
we
great.
got that teed up for you all. So
Okay,
we're gonna
and
go ahead and get that started.
we'll have 2 or 3 more speakers after that and be done. We have many people that have waited long, but we're starting to repeat ourselves.
Oh, no problem. Is that the Phoenix Hall that everybody's at?
Yes, well, they're
All right.
here, they're outside, they're where.
We just want to make sure everybody who made it to the Phoenix Hall tonight gets a chance to be heard. So we're gonna play your video right now.
Hello. So my name is Timothy Watkins, and for those of you that know me, I'm a 68-year resident of Watts. For those of you that don't know me that well, you know me as the president and the CEO of the Watts Labor Community Action Committee, founded by my father, the late Ted Watkins, back in 1965 in the aftermath of the so-called Watts Revolt. I'm talking to you today from the standpoint of my experience as a resident of the area and what I know to be true in terms of what the people of Watts suffer from most is the misperception that poverty is the cause of their plight. The truth is, poor public policy is the cause of poverty and all the other symptoms that spin off of that poor policy in the first place. That's why I came to conclude redistricting would be the solution, at least today, in this time and at this date, the solution for how Watts is represented politically and how it is either encouraged or discouraged by its configuration as part of the 15th district. That for me, the next logical step is to get realigned. As a former commissioner for the city of Los Angeles, I learned there are two rules, number 1 and number 2. Number 1 is that communities of interest should not be split by redistricting. Number 2, communities should be contiguous within the district. And Watts is neither one of those. Our neighbors to the north are far more similar to Watts than they are apart. Our neighbors to the south, 15 miles away in CD 15, couldn't be more different than the people of Watts. So we beg for a correction to what has been the misconfiguration of a community that was caused to be non-contiguous, number 1, and number 2, divided from the rest of its community when it was founded just 27 years before I was born. So in 1953 until 2021, my experience has shown me that we suffer the effects of what is otherwise known as geopolitical gerrymandering. And to correct that, we need to move from CD 15 at the south to CD 9 at the north. We have a slogan, some of you may have heard. The question is, what time is it? It's 15 to 9. From 15th district to the 9th district. That's what I have to say about the subject.
All right, so we're watching a 4-minute COI testimony from members of the WLCAC. So as was stated right before we showed the video, a couple of members of the community ceded their 2 minutes of speaking time. so that we all had an opportunity to see that 4-minute video. We do still have speakers though at WLCAC, so we want to make sure we give you all a chance to speak. So we're going to go to Phoenix Hall right now, and you can introduce yourself, and you'll have up to 2 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Hogue. I'm not a resident of Watts. I'm a PhD student at UCLA, and I'm here because I care about the environmental quality here. So I'm an environmental scientist, and we've been doing some preliminary soil and water testing and have found elevated levels of lead in the water that is going to the public housing developments, as well as in the soil. This is a direct effect of neglect. This is a direct result of neglect. Watts has so many environmental burdens that people live 12 years less here. The people who are leading in Council District 15 may or may not know that, but it is clear that they do not care because it has not been fixed. So we are willing to work with anyone who's willing to work with us on resolving these issues, pushing the needle forward in terms of perhaps replacing the lead pipes, getting people filters. For the soil testing, we are working with the Department of Toxic Substances Control, and this needs to be known across the community. This should be known in Council District 15. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Thomas Dorsey Jr. I'm a crisis intervention specialist with Reentry, WLCAC, and I would like to speak to you about the educational problems that we have and the education problems that we had in the past. The overcrowding in the schools, I'm a direct product of that. I suffered throughout school because they just pushed me through school. I went out into the Watts community with a 5th grade education, and I ended up incarcerated for 34 years. I had to learn how to read and write in Old Folsom at the age of 18. I didn't get out of prison until I was 51 years old, but I came back to the community that I know that loves me the most, embraced me. It's not our community's fault. It's the fact that we all have children. District 9 has children. We need to band together, man, so our children want something. We need to stop this. It's very hurtful. I shouldn't have had to go to prison to learn how to read and write. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker from the WLCAC, please introduce yourself, and you'll have 2 minutes to give public testimony.
Hi, my name is Megan Wong, and I am here on behalf of the people of Watts. I'm here to protect and support Watts' rich culture and history. Watts is a neighborhood that is extremely rich in culture, from supplying many industrial jobs to a large influx of migrant Black workers from the South during World War II. Watts as a community has built itself up from the ground up. From creating a workers' union and being home to the historic Watts train station, the Watts Towers, and being a battleground for the civil rights movement. The people of Watts together have experienced much triumph and struggle, all doing so without receiving, barely receiving any help from the city. It is time for the people of Watts to be represented in CD9, a district that more closely represents itself, demographically, socially, and culturally. Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much, folks at the WLCAC.
So thank you very much. And we are going to conclude our speakers list here.
All right.
Thank you for the time.
It was our pleasure. Thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause. We want to give folks at the SBCC a chance to finish off their speakers list as well. So I'm going to go ahead and ask them to unmute themselves. And you can start to give your public comments.
Buenas noches, mi querido público. Mi nombre es Dayanira Cruz. Soy de Honduras. Vivo aquí en USA desde los 8 años con mi mamá. Ella se llama Alba. Tengo 2 hermanos. Cuando llegamos aquí, vivíamos en la 81. Figueroa. Estudié en mi primaria en la escuela Normandy. Está ubicada en Vernon y Normandy. Luego pasé a la escuela Edison Middle School. Está ubicada en la 66 y Hooper. Después pasé a la high school que está ubicada en la San Pedro y la 79 Street. Aquí vivo en el Avalon Garden. Tenemos 20 años viviendo aquí. Estamos ubicados en la 88 Place y Avalon. Vivo con mis papás y hermanos. Estoy asistiendo en un programa, se llama El Arca, que está ubicada en el este de Los Ángeles. Está en el Silking y Mission. También quiero y estoy alegre de pertenecer al Distrito 9 y se agradecerles por todo lo que el Distrito 9 ha hecho. Me gustaría que en mi comunidad se quede lo mismo. Gracias.
Oh, very welcome. We wanted to give folks at the South Bay Counseling Center an opportunity to complete their community of interest testimony. We're thankful for all of our remote locations that are providing a safe opportunity for members of the public to give community of interest testimony. And once again, if you're not able to join our meetings via Zoom and you'd like to email us your public testimony, you can reach us at redistricting.lacity@lacity.org. All right, you can also have up to 2 minutes once you introduce yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about tonight.
Mi nombre es Maribel, yo vivo en el Distrito 9, yo he vivido aquí por 10 años. Y pues la razón que estoy aquí es para traerles pues el problema que tenemos en este distrito, que es la gente sin hogar. Pues alrededor donde vivo yo, en la Broadway y la 83, hay mucho crimen y venden pues muchas drogas y pues también hay mucha prostitución. También hay trailers parqueados allí por la 83 y la Grand Avenue. Y pues realmente pues esta gente necesita ayuda, mandarlos a rehabilitación o ayudarlos con housing o relocation. Y también pues debido a esto también el crimen se ha aumentado más. Y pues eso me preocupa a mí, pues porque yo vivo con mi hija de 3 años y ella escuchamos balaceras una vez al mes, y eso me preocupa a mí, pues porque tiene que haber más protección policial. Yo voy a hacer mi shopping en la ciudad de Inglewood, en la Crenshaw y la Century, en la Fortales que está allí. También me voy al shopping center de la que está en Century, cerquitas de Crenshaw. Y pues yo hago mi shopping allí pues porque me siento más segura. En vez en cuando sí voy al número 1 que está localizado en la Manchester y la San Pedro. Y pues yo quiero dejar el distrito así chiquito, bueno, así como está, porque pues hay que enfocarnos más en lo que es más importante, pues tener más seguridad en la comunidad. Y
All right,
Pues
please wrap up.
es todo por hoy. Gracias.
All right, thank you very much.
I'm the last speaker, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us this evening. Folks at the South Bay Counseling Center, we want to thank you for giving public testimony and joining us tonight. And we hope to see you again at future public hearing meetings. So if you are in our attendees list, we are going to now go back to you. So please be patient. We're going to go ahead and call everyone who has their hands up first. If your hand is not up and you would like to give public testimony, please press the raise hand function on your screen. Or if you're calling in, please press *9 and then we'll be able to add you to the list that way. So I'm going to announce the next 3 speakers. So by the way that you're identified on my screen, please get ready. So our next 3 speakers are going to be Elida Mendez, then it'll be a caller ending in phone number 223, and then Carmen Taylor Jones. So I'm going to ask Elida Mendez to go ahead and unmute yourself, and you'll have up to 2 minutes to give public comments.
Sí, hola, muy buenas noches. Gracias, comisionados, por esta oportunidad de hablar. Mire, primeramente quiero decir que yo vivo en la comunidad de Green Meadows. Sí, hola, ¿sí me oyen? Hola.
Loud and clear.
Hola.
Sí, la oímos.
Hola.
Oh, sí, ok, sí, disculpe. Sí. Vivo en la comunidad de Green Meadows. Está localizada sobre la Manchester, son sus linderos de la Manchester hasta la 98 y de la Central a la Broadway. Esto está en 2 distritos, que es Distrito 8 y Distrito 9. Nuestra representación es un poco difícil cuando se trata de pedir servicios a nuestra comunidad. En realidad, quisiera que esta comunidad perteneciera solamente a un solo distrito, que es el Distrito 9, para tener una mejor representación. Yo soy representante del área, de esta área, que es de Southeast Neighborhood Council. Yo tengo problemas cuando quiero pedir servicios. ¿Por qué? Porque mi comunidad está representada por 2 concejales, ¿verdad? Entonces, cuando yo quiero un servicio, es muy difícil para esta comunidad obtenerla por esa razón, porque son 2 concejales que están dando de un lado para otro para ver quién va a dar el servicio a la comunidad. ¿Por qué? Porque son 2 distritos. De la UAL es el lindero del distrito 9 y para el distrito 8. Entonces, con una mejor redistribución para esta comunidad, sería mejor representada. Ahora, no queremos que se agregue más territorio. ¿Por qué? Porque sería peor solamente para, no solamente para esta comunidad, pero para todo el distrito, porque tenemos muchos problemas ya, y incluir más comunidades, más territorio, sería muy difícil traer más servicios. Por favor, traten de mantener los distritos, especialmente este distrito 9, así, no más territorio a este distrito. Gracias.
All right, very welcome. Our next speaker is ending in phone number 223. So please press *6 to unmute yourself. Once again, speaker ending in phone number 223. I see you're unmuted. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
223?
Correct.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
223. I would just like to make a comment. I'm a stakeholder in District 9, and I've been living here 55 years. And I was just saying that I would like for everything to stay the same, because it seems like the more changes you make, the worse things get. They get more confusing. So I was just thinking that maybe more money could be put in this area and make improvements. And we need more money put into cultural type things and activities for children, and also activities for seniors. And just put money in and move people into those different positions, and everything will be hunky-dory. Because the more we get in, the less is done. Plus, it's more confusing and crowded. So I just wanted to say those few things, but it already seems as though some things already that you guys are talking about have been done already, as far as concerning a WLCAC and in concern with the Van Meter Center. And that's what I was concerned about, that, we get that place up and running and good to go, and that will help a lot of people in this community that don't have places to go or things to do. But our area is pretty good right now, and I'm hoping that it stay like that. We just need a few improvements. Thank you very much.
All right, you're
Hello?
very welcome. No, you're very welcome. Thank you, caller. Our next speaker is Carmen Taylor-Jones. Carmen Taylor-Jones, go ahead and unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about this evening.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Carmen Taylor-Jones, and I'm speaking to the redistricting of the Watts community from CD9 to CD15. The redistricting of the community actually meets all 4 of the constitutional requirements for redistricting. The current maps were drawn in 1927, and I'm sure there was great purpose for them being drawn in the way that they were then. However, that has certainly outgrown its usefulness. Equal representation is certainly one of the things that we're aiming for. CD15 is the second largest, has the second largest population of the city councils, and CD9 actually has the second smallest. So to extract the 35,000 residents from CD15 and put them into CD9 still allows the population standards to be met. Also contiguous. The Watts community butts completely up against CD9. We share the same infrastructure. We share the same law enforcement. We share the same public transportation. We attend the same churches. Our kids attend the same schools. We even have the same COVID testing sites and also vaccination sites. And so we can see that we certainly would benefit versus the 15-mile separation from our current district members. Also, the prominence of Watts benefits all of CD9. However, we benefit very little from the billions of dollars that is coming into the Los Angeles harbor. So I hope that you consider that this would be a very powerful movement, and it would allow the members of our city and state to see how redistricting actually work, and then have reason to be more involved in this process. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you for your testimony. I will announce our next group of speakers: Teresa Jasso, Maria Espinoza, Marcos Hernandez, and Antonio. So we're going to ask Teresa Jasso or Teresa Jasso to unmute themselves and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about this evening. And when you do, you'll have up to 2 minutes to give your comment.
Yes, hello, good evening. My name is Teresa Hassel, and I am a Watts resident. I'm just gonna make a brief comment, how I feel. I've been living here in Watts for like 28 years. I lived in the Jordan Downs development, and now I live in the New Harvest. All I want to say is that I love my community, like all the diversity, all the cultures that we have. And I would just like our voices in Watts to be heard, because there's many of us that are unhappy. We will start making noise, and we will be getting the right people to represent us, to open ways and to hear our community needs. That's all I want. I want our voices to be heard here in Watts, because we are important too. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Oh, no, we want to hear from everyone we can during this process. So thank you for calling in this evening. Our next speaker, Maria Espinosa. Please unmute yourself, and you'll also have up to 2 minutes. Maria Espinosa. All right, once again, we want to give Maria Espinosa a chance to give their public comments. While they're not able to unmute themselves right now, let's ask Mr. Marcos.
Aquí estoy.
Fernandez.
Buenas tardes. Buenas
There you
noches.
go.
Buenas noches. Mi nombre es María Espinosa. Soy residente del Distrito 9 por más de 25 años y representante de mamás de la Organización de Mamás del Sur Centro y presidenta del RAC de Pueblos del Río, representando más de 640 unidades y líder de mi comunidad del Distrito 9. quiero que mi distrito 9 se mantenga como está, porque estamos en muchos cambios, ha hecho muchos cambios mi distrito, hemos batallado en hacerlo crecer, en mejoría, que muchos años atrás no se había visto mucho ese cambio en el distrito 9. Y ahora, junto con diferentes organizaciones que han traído recursos a esta comunidad, se ha mantenido una comunidad más sólida, más estable, que sigue creciendo y no quiero que sea dividida. Distrito 9 debe quedarse como está. Lo que pido a mis otros compañeros que están pidiendo por sus comunidades, buscar a las personas correctas que los representen. Pero mi distrito lo quiero como está, porque aquí he vivido 25 años y he visto el cambio y hemos trabajado tanto con nuestro concejal de nuestra área para que eso sea posible. Quiero que mi distrito se mantenga como está. Gracias.
All right. Once again, you're very welcome. We only have a few more hands left in the speakers list. So if you are interested in giving your community of interest testimony, you want to tell us stories about what makes your neighborhood unique, please press the raise hand function on your laptop or your tablet. Or if you're calling in, please press *9, and in that way we can add you to the speakers list. So back to the list. Our next speaker is Marcos Hernandez. Marcos, go ahead and unmute yourself, and you'll have up to 2 minutes to tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about.
Hello, my name is Marcos Damon Hernandez. I am also on behalf of City Tech. I am also representing myself. I am talking about CD9, and I would also like to point out that I think getting rid of certain blocks that we already have is going to be very detrimental in the coming years, especially since there's going to be a lot of renovation and infrastructure being built, especially around the Figueroa corridors. Not that's including the museum, the Lucas Arts Museum, as well as the Olympics that are going to be taking place in LA, and that's going to be and if that's get taken away as well, not only those future opportunities, but that'll decrease how much revenue and income will be allocated to the current existing CD9 members that are within our areas. Because as a disenfranchised community that has been happening for years, there's still a lot of road works that need to be placed in. And, there was some success for the past 4 years by adding additional streetlights, but that took many years to also, just to keep on basic necessities up to be upkept, including the trash cans. And even then, those are not being kept up to a good standard. There's still a lot of homelessness and trash around our community. So I think we definitely need to focus more on what is present right now. So yeah, that's my comment. So, keep the same boundaries. It'll take away a lot of revenue that still needs to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marcos. Long time no hear. Our next speaker is Antonio. Antonio, please unmute yourself. And you'll have up to 2 minutes to give your statement. Once again, our next speaker is identified as Antonio. You can unmute yourself when you're ready. And for members of the public who would still like to give public comment, please press the raise hand function or press *9, and you can join our list. All right, we're giving Speaker Antonio an opportunity to give their testimony. If you can't unmute yourself, it's okay. You can also submit testimony, written testimony at redistricting.lacity@lacity.org. Redistricting.lacity@lacity.org. Okay, Mr. Chair, I see that we've asked Antonio to unmute themselves a couple times. I don't know if they're able to. So we have no one else in line to give public comment at this moment. But as soon as I said that, I'm sure several members of the community will feel the opportunity to speak, and I see one already. So we would like to ask Ryder Pays.
Very well. Go ahead, please.
All right.
Very well. Go ahead, please.
All right. So caller identified by Ryder, please unmute yourself and tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about this evening.
This is Ryder Paysinger. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryder Paysinger. I am the co-founder of RCA Rebuild California Alliance, the vice chair of Can Do Neighborhood Council in the 9th District. We're located on 76th Place in Avalon. We own about 8 parcels of property there. I'm a member of Peace Chapel Church, and I am the community director at Peace Chapel Church. And we've been able to do a lot of work in the community in regards to homelessness and just bringing resources to the 9th District. The Councilman Curran D. Price, he knows us personally, and also a lot of the organizations in the community who are our sister and brother organizations that we work directly with. We most definitely are change agents in this community in CD9. CD9 is really what makes our heart beat. We know the residents personally. They know us personally. They know exactly who we are. We're no stranger to them. We put on the largest community festival on this side of the 110 freeway every year, with a maximum amount of 3,000 to 5,000 residents, a concert, and 100 resource vendors that attend. A lot of organizations, I'm sure, that are on this call, they attend our resource festival every single year, including Councilman Curran D. Price. We're looking to continue to build up our community on our side of the 110 freeway, just as people have done on the other side of the 110 freeway and on down towards Exposition and thus Forest. We work with many organizations around the surrounding areas, including other cities. We just want everyone to know that we are boots on the ground and we are ready to go to work. And regarding to the zoning change, I know that's a big issue right now, but we want to know who's ready to continue to make CD9 a great place and also recognize that RCA is boots on the ground and we are not, have no fear about doing the work in the community. A lot of the churches are our partners in doing this, and we want to continue to support them pastors, them seniors, and them churches, as well as our youth. So we just want everyone to know that we're here to stay. We've been here for quite some time now, and we're not going anywhere.
All right, thank you very much. Our next speaker, Susana Coracero. Please unmute yourself, and you'll have up to 2 minutes to tell us which neighborhood you're speaking about.
Hi, my name is Susana Coracero. I am a long time, I was born and raised in Watts, but I've dedicated the past 22 years to be a community organizer in CD9. So I'm here to just first thank all the commissioners for volunteering and doing this work. I just want to highlight the importance to keep equity in mind when making decisions or recommendations on the district lines. In the last redistricting in 2012, CD9 lost a great significant portion of what was downtown LA, and areas that generated income tax revenues that were for CD9. And I think I just want to make sure that we don't lose the spirit of having equity in mind when recommendations are made. I think there's concern of the residents that I've worked with about losing territory, losing downtown territory, and also losing USC. So I just want to make sure that we keep equity in mind and consider all the mixed, diverse need to have a healthy, productive district and political representation as well. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Wow, we've had some fantastic public testimony around communities of interest this evening throughout the whole Council District 9. Currently, we have no one who has their hands raised. So if you would still like to give public comment, you still have an opportunity to. We ask you now to press the raise hand function and we'll identify you and call on you. And if you're joining this meeting over the phone, you can actually just press *9, and in that way we can identify you and give you a chance. But as of right now, Chair, we have no one in line to give comments until now. I just saw at least one more hand. So we're going to give Billy J. Green an opportunity to give comment now.
Good evening. My name is Billy J. Green. I live in the West Adams District, West Adams Heights, Sugar Hills neighborhood. It is very important that we keep CD9 whole and make it whole. It is very important to this community from downtown all the way to Watts. CD9 is very important to this community, and I believe that we should make it whole. Thank you.
All right, you're very welcome. Our next, I see a hand that's gone up. I'm gonna give Antonio an opportunity to unmute themselves and tell us which neighborhood you're gonna speak about this evening. So Antonio, I believe your hand is raised. We want to give you a chance to give your statement if you're able to unmute yourself. Okay. So there may be some technical difficulties going on the other end. We apologize, Antonio, if we were not able to reach you and hear your comment this evening. As we mentioned before, you can always submit a comment via email at redistricting.lacity@lacity.org. So we want to ask again, if you would like to give public comment, now's a good time. There's nobody in line.
Okay, thanks, Rob. I think we're going to call the public testimony to an end.
All right.
So I just want to start off with a couple comments. First of all, I want to sincerely thank all the people who did turn out today for what I thought was a really strong amount of public testimony, really strong, clear, and moving testimony tonight. And a big thanks to our friends at the Watts Labor Community Action and SBCC for the work they did in turning out people tonight, as well as all the other community-based organizations that participated. You know, I just want to mention that so many speakers tonight also thanked the commissioners for their service. But I think I speak on behalf of all of us when I say we really want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy lives and really coming forth tonight with some excellent, strong testimony. It was very, very moving. A couple other comments. One of our first speakers, Jackie DuPont Walker, mentioned the undercount. And I just want to lift that up because I want people to know that this commission is very concerned with that issue, and we are in the process of conducting our own sort of assessment of that. So that is something we are laser focused on it. There's not a tremendous amount a redistricting commission can do about this, but we're certainly going to pay attention to it and do what we can as we learn more about it. I think we heard significant amounts of testimony tonight voiced for maintaining current CD9 boundaries. We received really overwhelming testimony in that regard. We heard very moving testimony as well as a video from the Watts community urging their inclusion in CD9 and noting, speaker after speaker noted that they feel their priorities, that CD15 and CD9 priorities are different. So that was certainly heard loud and clear today. I also want to just mention that I was really taken by how many people voiced shared interest among Black and Brown residents within the district. And despite the many challenges that people pointed to, so many people expressed love and pride for their communities. And for me, that was very, very inspiring. We also heard a number of speakers speak of shared histories of migration and immigration among Black and Brown residents. And I appreciate those thoughts as well. Many expressed, as I said before, a desire to stay in CD9 as currently currently configured. So again, I think we all we all agree tonight was really strong testimony. Some of the best we have heard since we started this process a month ago. So again, members of the public who may still be with us, I want to thank you very, very much. I also want to tell you sort of what's next. We have a couple more hearings for community of interest testimony. As some of you have heard me say in the past, we take all of the testimony we hear and that's added to a database, community of interest database, and we combine that with quantitative data that we have, primarily the census data, and that's what helps us inform our process of actually beginning to draw maps, to draw the lines of our districts, of the 15 city council districts. In terms of the calendar in front of us, we have a September 2nd, or excuse me, a September 8th, 6 p.m. meeting with focused on CD8. We have a September 11th meeting at 10 a.m., a Saturday meeting that is a citywide meeting for residents throughout the city who may not have been able to attend one of our other hearings. This is an opportunity for your voice to be heard. We have a very, very important commission meeting on September 13th. We have 4 ad hoc committees, as some of you might know, who are working or are looking at the city through a regional lens, and those 4 committees will be making a report out during a public meeting on September 13th. And then very, very importantly, on September 20th and on September 21st, we will have a meeting focused on actual line drawing. And of course, that will be done completely in the public. So I think it will be great interest there. And again, that's a meeting on, that's actually a single meeting that will span 2 days. The night of the 20th, there'll be an adjournment, and then it will continue on September 21st. It's our intention to issue as a commission draft maps by October 1st or October 4th at the latest. And we will then go into a set of 4 additional public hearings for the public to comment on those maps. And then by the end of October, by October 28th, we will actually hopefully approve a report and a final map that we will submit to the city council. And of course, the city council will then have the final say in the matter. So that's the schedule in front of us. A lot of work to be done, but we couldn't be doing this work without the input that we're receiving from the public. So I want to thank the commissioners again for your attendance. We've had quorums at all these meetings. It's really inspiring for me personally, and I'm always so honored to be the chair of this commission. Always for members of the public who also still may be with us, I want to remind you, you can always go to our website and be updated on information about the work of the commission going forward. So it's been a long night, but before we close, I want to ask if there is any ex parte communication that needs to be disclosed before we adjourn the meeting. So I don't see any offers of disclosures. So I think that will bring our meeting to an end. I'm hoping everyone has a good long weekend and hopefully get some rest. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion to adjourn and a second. So this meeting is adjourned, and Commissioner Martinez, thank you for hosting us tonight. Thank you very, very much. So good night, everyone. Stay safe, and I hope everyone.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Fran.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
All right, Aldi, let us know.
I've got it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Aye.
Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you, Javier. Wonderful job. Perfect job.